I'm reading The Planet of Choice, the only planet of choice, essential briefings from deep space, and by a provocative, mind-opening experience, according to James J. Hurtak, PhD. Transreceiver is Phyllis V Schlemmer, and it is edited by Mary Bennett. It's a compilation of questions and answers and perspectives by from deep space. This is chapter 7. I've read chapters 1 to 6 on previous recordings. Chapter 7. Life on Earth. As Tom says further in this chapter, in your world things are very simple, but people make them very complicated. In this chapter, Tom often repeats sentences, but with the subtle differences interwoven into what, at a casual glance, seems to be a repetition. By the end of the chapter, we have been given some brilliant concepts. Tom, may we explain to you that your planet Earth is the most beautiful that exists in the universe? It has a physical variety that no other planet has. In all the universe, there is no planet in existence that has the physical characteristics of Earth. It is the rarest of beauties, and it does attract souls which, once they have come, would continually like to come back again. It is a different nature from any other planet. It has within it portions of all planets in the universe. It is like a composite of the universe, with all the good and all the evil, and it is what attracts souls. It has, with its gravitational pull, that it is different from other planets. It has, with the gravitational pull, a difference from other planets, and because of this, a soul begins to feel, in truth, a physical body. They become, in their minds, adapted to their physical bodies, and they forget the freedom and pleasures they have without it. The earth was created to be a paradise. When souls achieved harmony, it will become a paradise again. But when we say a paradise, we speak of a paradise of creativity. That what brings knowledge, one that brings joy and love. A paradise in which people may heal themselves or may even experience pain if they wish. It is not a paradise where all challenge, all growth, or all pain will be removed. It will be a paradise when people, through their own experience, may evolve their own understanding of their connection with the universe, accept their own responsibility for themselves, for their fellow, for Earth, and therefore for the universe, and may bring all of that, including themselves, into perfection. Humankind needs to understand the uniqueness and purpose of planet Earth, and the directness that it has in its evolution. Humankind needs to understand that it is not alone, and there is no death. What people must begin to understand is that there is no escaping for the future of their lives. There must be payment. If they also knew that each of them has the quality of greatness in them, and that they have opportunity to be uplifted in joy, and that when there is acceptance of not being alone, of no death, then energies of fear may be released, and energies of joy may replace fear. Then Earth may begin to fulfill its position in the universe. As well as Earth becoming the greatest joy, we related before that Earth has the greatest of beauty. When we say beauty, we mean that of the soul, which then penetrates the external. Mankind has confused physical beauty as what it is seen with the outer shell of the eye, not that of the inner soul or of the planet or those that exist upon them. That is also what humanity must learn upon Earth. John, could you explain what the purpose of physical existence is, particularly on this planet? Tom, this is your planet. It's a planet of balance, for you to learn to balance between the physical and spiritual worlds. Earth is the only one of its kind, the only planet of free choice in the entire universe, the only planet created for the balancing of the spiritual with the physical, in other words, the creating of paradise. Humanity has created corruption within, which came about because people became more involved in physicalness than in attempting to balance and understand. But now your planet is at a point where it may move out of darkness quicker than any other point. This time of history that you are in is the time of change. It is time for humanity to begin to understand this, to live on this planet of great beauty with a true balance of spiritual and physical, and to live in unity with the Creator in manifestation of love in connection with the Creator, in that which was created. John, this has been the message of many of the world's religions, and humanity has never really accepted this. Can you explain why we do not accept this positive message? Tom, people in their innermost know or have the feeling that they are from something other than just themselves, but people upon earth have gone into competition with the Creator. We understand this, for people understand that there is a beauty within them that may not do all things, but they neglect to identify and know the Creator. They alone wish to be the Creator. It cannot be. The problem we have had before is that many times we have been to Earth, we have come to help, and it was expected of us to do what we cannot do, what this planet must do for itself. You are a part of this planet because you chose it in order to help it. John, I really want to say, speaking for myself, that I do not really accept the responsibility that we have to do things for ourselves. It's just that we get a lot of complications and difficulties in living on planet Earth. Tom, in your world, things are very simple, but people make them very complicated. If you approach things in a simple manner, many things can be overcome and accomplished with a great deal of acceleration and with not too much energy used. The worry and the concern burns up more energy than the activity of dealing with the problem. Andrew, so here we are on Earth, just a tiny speck of dust in this infinite, vast universe. Could you tell us why you've taken an interest at all in this tiny speck of dust here called the Earth? Tom, in order for the universe to evolve, it is important for Earth to evolve. The souls that have come to this planet have become irresponsible in their physical bodies. It has become a planet of desire. The souls are here behave as if they were in quicksand and were being gobbled up and swallowed in its desire. It's important for you to evolve, because without this planet being evolved, the other planets in the universe are not able to go forward. It has stopped the growth of the universe. It is important for the level of consciousness of this planet to be raised. It is the love from this planet that generates the energy that feeds God. And this planet has stopped the growth of part of the universe, instead of evolving in the manner it should to become one with the divine. I will explain one step further. Many of these souls that live here, when they die, they are trapped in the atmosphere of the planet, and then they are reborn over and over on the same world, and they seem to be going nowhere. This planet originally was created to teach balance between the spiritual and the physical world. But in this physical world, they got involved in materialism, and so these things never evolved beyond the belt of this planet. Their desires are still in their minds and emotions, and their desires hold them to this planet. And so you have multiplication that is going on until this planet will sink. Andrew, is that why we have so many souls piled upon on this planet? They just can't get beyond it. Tom, they cannot get beyond it because of desire, greed, hate, because of enjoying their physical pleasures. And we have no objections about their physical activities on this planet. It is when it becomes their primary concern, and they are no longer concerned with evolving the planet, their fellow humans, or finding their divinity. You explained this when we listened to you the other day when you called it a bottleneck. We just consulted and decided that if we looked in a bottle and there was a plug and you could not get it out, that is exactly what this planet is. Your description was correct. Thank you. Could you explain why it is so important that a few humble beings like ourselves, who are all very simple creatures, or others like us, can then help to unplug the bottleneck? Tom, the energy that surrounds you creates a vortex that then radiates out and then can raise the consciousness of this planet. Even though you feel it is an impossible task, it is not an impossible task. You people chose this situation. You willingly gave yourself to come back onto this dense, heavy earth. People like you have reincarnated on this planet many times, often not because it was necessary, but because you needed to understand and get the feel of this planet in order to raise its level of consciousness. With this energy, it creates a vortex of love and peace and harmony, and others will gravitate towards you, so that you may explain to them to help raise the level. Everything needs an energy base. We are energy, and through people like you, this planet will be saved. We work through people. That which was planned for the planet Earth did not come to pass. When it was discovered that of all the planets in the universe, it has more beauty, more diversification of changes than any other. It was also discovered that those that lived upon Earth had a great physicalness that was not witnessed on other planets. John, I'm a little confused as to where the physicalness came from. Tom, from the gravity and the heaviness and the density of the planet, and the senses through which you have the feeling on of Earth. They do not exist on other inhabited planets. Souls on Earth began to feel that they existence. They did not feel on other planets. You understand your forms of breeding? Tom, sex you mean? Tom, John, sex you mean? Tom, sex in the beginning was a form for breeding, and also it was given sensations within the physical body to make it joyous. But it began to become a priority over the years, and the beginning of control of one another, of one human by another. That form of control does not exist on other planets. Thus heightened the intensity of desire within the subconscious and in the minds of souls that reincarnated on planet Earth. Desire of this kind is not in existence on other planets. It is therefore of great importance that planet Earth moves into balance. There is no objection in the universe for this method of breeding, for that was a decision that this was the way that the planet Earth would repopulate itself. What was an objection is that it became the source of all priorities, and that it came to control all souls. For if you look upon all those that exist upon planet Earth, it is the one source that creates much of the difficulty, is it not? John, I gather that this was the single planet in which you had this kind of difficulty. John, yes. Tom, yes. This is the only planet that has created a bottleneck. The souls that live on planet Earth in their soul recycling and reincarnations refuse to leave planet Earth. Each of the planets upon which they exist, or on which they have a birth, is for some form of teaching of them. But they are so much in desire for this physical planet Earth that they do not further themselves. There is temptation, there is greed, and there is desire. John, how did this problem start in the first place? And how was it not checked earlier? Tom, it happened because we were not aware of the problems that the physicalness would create, and the feeling of heaviness and of pleasure. This is the only planet in the universe that has the physical qualification that creates this problem. It does not have a sister planet, nor a brother planet. John, it is the most dense of inhabited planets in the universe. Tom, yes. Andrew, I would think that there was this desire and pleasure problem. It could all be traced to the role of, say, one atomic element, like sodium, for example, or something like that. Have you traced it down to something like that? Tom, I will consult. I have been informed that the problem is created within the soul of the individual. Earth is a dense planet, and it in turn then gives a different feeling to the body, but it is actually within the soul of the individual. Andrew, so you're saying that then that the dense material can really influence the soul that much? I didn't think that it was possible. Tom, it feels pain, it feels pleasure, it feels sorrow, it feels happiness. The physical body has a different feeling on Earth than in all of the other planets, and in all the other souls that exist. In other systems, in other galaxies, there are other physical beings that do not have the density of you on Earth. On your planet, the soul begins to feel different from what it felt before, and has the feel of pleasure and desire. On another occasion, in reply to the same line of questioning, the nine gave the following example. Andrew, why do souls get stuck on planet Earth? Tom, the stuckness is brought about by gravity density, and the illusion gravity density is reality. The stuckness is emotional. It derives from the inability to remove self from self in the gravitational density. When you remove yourself from self, it creates an unblocking, so the emotional gravitational density may be relieved, and the true reality may be viewed. This planet was created to be the paradise, and in order for Earth to have all its variety, it was necessary to make of it a gravitational density. Andrew, Are you saying that for our growth, for our evolution, that gravity is one of the things we must... Let's wait. Yes, back to connection, and now I lost my space. Right. I don't know where I lost it, but here we are. My dog's on there, so I thought I'd move as well. On another occasion, in reply to the same line of questioning, the Nine gave the following answer. Why do souls get stuck on planet Earth? The stuckness is brought about by the gravity and density, and the illusion that the gravity density is reality. The stuckness is emotional. It derives from the inability to remove self from self in the gravitational density. When you remove self from self, it creates an unblocking. So the emotional gravitational density may be relieved, and the true reality may be viewed. This planet was created to be the paradise, and in order for Earth to have all its variety, it was necessary to make it of a gravitational and not correctly viewing the soul of its spiritual self. I had an interruption there. Tom, what is important is to balance yourself. In the merging of the physical with the spiritual, that is the manifest purpose of humankind. But humankind has confused itself by remaining in its density and not correctly viewing the nature of its spiritual self. It is misinterpreted and misguided by some of the religious leaders of your world who attempt to control humankind, and the religions that would wish to deny the physical are not in balance, as also are those people of the physical who wish to deny the spiritual. For some souls, their choosing to be born in this time was not in the evolutionary process of growth for themselves, but in service to this planet, to bring about the importance of understanding Earth's place in the universe and of the human beings upon it. There are many who have come to Earth at this time who choose to come here for the necessity of the universe to help. Yes? Andrew, as we understand from our scientific point of view, is the relationship between gravity as a force and mind as a force where the balance is supposed to occur? Tom, when you accept, understand in totality, with complete trust and faith in self and in your connection with the universe, then you bring about the balance and you are no longer in bondage. Through the mental process of mind, if you disconnect the mind from what it is holding on to, it will be free. This disconnecting can go by stages, so that you can develop trust and faith in your ability to maintain your inner connection with the universe. Then you will be free. When the critical mass begins in humankind, when enough of your souls are becoming free, then the space vehicle of Earth moves into its evolutionary fulfillment. Andrew, how close are we to that kind of evolutionary time process? Tom, know this, that with acceleration due to each human's involvement, it will become quickly, and it will not be in devastation as it would be if such an acceleration came by itself, by force of circumstances, without your involvement. That's beautiful, Tom. You understand. When there is change, that is something coming upon Earth. Tom, you understand. When there is a change that is coming upon Earth, and when there is a loosening up of confinement, that will what confines attempts desperately to confine even more. Yes, Tom, know this. You all have come to earth to beautify it, to purify it, to love it, and to be in your joy with it. Know this, that in your name, through your and others' dedication, through the quality of your being upon planet Earth, you may bring it to the fulfillment of its creation. That is for us a great joy, and we thank you. The cosmic aspect of this drama is to save Earth, in which many souls are trapped. Without the sadness, neither we nor you know how many thousands or hundreds of thousands of your years that this planet will then be in a stagnant phase. We do not truly know the results of what will happen to the souls of those that are trapped. You understand a sickness, a disease can spread if it's not controlled. Yes, Tom, do you understand that if this is not controlled and it's not handled properly, that this may then potentially contaminate the rest of the universe? Are you aware of that potential? And well, from what you tell us, yes, we don't know from our own experience, of course. Tom, do you also know that if the entire universe was contaminated and if the contamination manifested, all that is good and all that is love would be destroyed? Are you aware of this? Andrew, no, we were not aware of this. Tom, because of this contamination could spread from this small physical planet to the rest of the universe, then all the souls will be living in fear and hate with no hope in darkness. And there may not be many of us then that can take off the situation if it develops to that point. Irene, one of the questions that I wanted to ask had to do with this notion of human suffering and how it came about. I understand that when humans first walked in innocence, there was probably no human suffering. How did it come about? What has its purpose been? Is in its purpose tied to fear that man has of evolving? Why does it exist? Tom, first know this. Earth is the only planet in the entire universe of choice. Humankind first walked with the gods, and you know the story of the temptation of the tree of life. They were tempted to experience the joy of unity with the oneness of creation. Then the Creator said, that is forbidden to you. Nevertheless permitted the choice to make it humankind to choose. So choose. They did that choosing. From that day onward, it is not the Creator that has punished, but humankind has punished itself. For they touched in truth the knowledge of who they were, and it triggered them and frightened them, for they knew that they were not in the state to comprehend completely. It became necessary then to populate Earth, so that all the cells of the Creator could become individual and free souls, in order for them to become one in unity and harmony by choice. Therefore also Earth is the only planet of conscience, and people choose to feel the emotion of sadness that they had destroyed that trust that was placed in them, and they began to sacrifice self and their children. It is time to end this farce of sacrifice, for that is what it is. It keeps them in bondage. Release humankind. Irene, so some religious leader then exploited this guilt. Tom, exactly. They exploited, for it was a means of holding people in bondage. Listen carefully. When there is one who understands the energies of all the created, and how they may utilize those energies to make themselves a god, then they keep people in bondage. Irene, in the beginning, why did the Creator forbid man from the knowing? Tom, what was important was for humans to begin without being forbidden to know, but with choice and trust. Irene, so the idea was not, you can't have the knowledge. The idea was, all right, here's the first example of choice. I'm saying you can't have it, now you have a choice, whether to obey or disobey. Tom, that is correct. And also understand that when you obey, it is an exercise. Then you no longer need to obey. Irene, the idea being that obedience doesn't sacrifice free will. It in fact promotes it, because you don't give obedience that importance. Tom, that is the great truth, yes. Mickey, some people seem to carry much heavier burden than others, suffer more than others. Is this only to give those souls an opportunity to learn a certain lesson or teach others, or is it misfortune? Tom, in your world, each of those that you have mentioned are applicable. There are some, because of their surroundings, environmental state of awareness, or the technology within your world, that have created great misfortune. None in this time period in reality chooses to suffer. It is brought about by the wrong thinking of those in control of others. There is but a small minority that choose to suffer to teach others. Mickey, I believe that the Creator knows everything in present and in future. How can humans then use their free will? Can you give me an understanding of this? Tom, just as the Creator is all-knowing, each soul is all-knowing, and there are paths that each soul may take. At the time of coming to the planet Earth, they made their map. They limited themselves in their choice, but they did bring with them a map, so they would have a choice whether or not to follow that map. Because the Creator knows all does not mean that there is interference in the life of humans. If your children were in the privacy of their sleeping quarters, you would not think of them entering indiscriminately upon them, for there may be private things that they do, and you would not choose to humiliate them, nor to invade their privacy deliberately. Is that not so? You are a creator. You created your children. As the parent, in the creation of those children, you attempt to guide them, and at times you impose your will upon them for their protection. The Creator simply jogs your mind, but does not impose upon you. The Creator probes you to attempt to jog you to follow one of your directions that you once chose. If you chose a direction, and in your deliberations you chose to go in an opposite direction, there is no interference. But in reality, because your privacy is not invaded, the Creator does not choose to see what you will do. The knowledge is kept until the time of your doing it, and afterwards. If you imposed your will upon your children by insisting that the door of their quarters of sleep be open at all times, so you can view them, and if you chose to go in upon their privacy, then you know what your children would do you not? They would protect themselves against you. In the same way, the Creator chooses not to keep your door open or invade it deliberately. Back in a sec. I need a sip. Of my juice. Because I'm thirsty. Sorry. Planet Earth, life on Earth. Sometimes over the years, what the group were led to expect did not occur, and this has created questions, of which the next exchange is an example. John, I'd like to say that if you are who you are, say you are, and you can be anywhere in time, in past, present, and future, and how is it then that you've told us that some things would happen and they had not happened? If you can be in the future, then you could also know that something would either happen or not. Would you explain this phenomenon to me, so I can understand it more clearly? Tom, we will attempt to explain it in this manner. We are sitting upon a mountain. Visualize this within your mind. When we sit upon this mountain, we have a view of the entirety of Earth. Underneath us sit other mountains, which you cannot see through with your eye. You cannot see through with your eyes, for you are in a physicalness. We could view what is behind us, that which you would call the past, complete. We can remember what it was like on the other side of the mountain in the past. In front of us, we can see other mountains, but we cannot see behind them, only over and between them. And when you come down from the mountain and to go into the future, you cannot see over the whole landscape. As you come around a mountain, you will find several roads or tracks, each leading into the future. If there are blockages in all but one of the paths, then there is only one path to take. But if you know how to remove a blockage, you may then take another path, and you will have greater choice. There is never just one future. There are several choices of future. This is involving your will. If we know what is the future, then that means that in truth we have become involved and have manipulated your free will. It is not for us to be involved with your free will or with manipulation. We see many futures. As an example, we will use your country, Britain. If before your World War, 1939 to 1945, your Churchill had not been in stable health or had been assassinated, then the future of your nation in the end may have been mostly accomplished, but not in the same manner. And it would have completely changed the future of your country. If it had not proceeded as it had, there would have been a very big difference. We understand that this is not a satisfactory answer in an explanation, but we know not a way to explain. We are not preordaining your future. John: Yes, I understand better. I think it was a product of my misunderstanding, that when you said such and such would happen, I assumed that this was a certainty, and I should have seen that as one of several possibilities. Tom: This was our error, not yours. We had related to you a failure and error on our part. Concerns that you would not be able to sustain your involvement and efforts. There is one situation we will guarantee to you from us. We will not permit the destruction of the earth. It is not the civilization of 24 that will not permit it, for it is not possible for them to prohibit it. It is only possible for us not to permit it, for they also have limitations. But in using our power with theirs, we would not permit the destruction of earth. When we say this, we mean the total